The strange and spooky have always had a home here in the Bay Area, from eccentric personalities to offbeat businesses to the mysteries of nature. We are exploring the weirdest parts of the Bay. It is time to get comfortable with the creepy. Our first adventure introduces us to 3 businesses that have embraced the spooky side and are serving their customers something a little more unusual.
For as long as I can remember, I've just always been obsessed with dinosaurs, lizards, snakes, turtles, tortoises, everything.
All right, let's get started.
I also did a lot of work and research into making sure that I can give people the correct facts. I can give them the best answers.
California king snakes. Now these guys, like I said, they live all over California.
And I can give them a safe and responsible place where they can interact with these animals and not feel scared and not feel like these animals are creepy or might feel weird or something like that, because they're really not. They're really some of the most interesting animals on the planet. And it is such a shame to me that people are afraid of them that I make it my life's work to go around and show people just how amazing they really are through interaction, through presentation, through information, any way I possibly can.
Oh, and that's why they call these guys monitor lizards, because they're always monitoring the area.
And that has included senior homes, it has included mental health facilities, it has included schools, daycares, wherever anyone wants me to go, really. Usually the only difference between being afraid of something and loving something is having someone show you just how cool it is. That is the biggest thing that I've known to change people's minds when it comes to nature, when it comes to wildlife, when it comes to even other people, is just showing them that even though things might look scary, even though they might not be too familiar with these things, is that these animals and people and whoever, whatever is in their life might not be so bad. It is something that I feel very fortunate and very passionate about, that I am privileged enough to be able to go around and teach people all about my favorite animals in the entire world. And hopefully by the end of the hour, it'll be their favorite animal too.
And the rest of you. Yep, that's Noodle.
My name is Beverly Paganucci, and I am Beverly the Freelance Hair Whisperer. This is my new space inside the Soulless Salons at the Concord Willows location. And I like to bring a little bit of magic into the lives of all of my clients. There is something very transformative about what I do. I get to bring some science and some magic and transform your hair from whatever you may have walked in with to whatever your dreams wanted it to be. And I like to call it potions time when we're back in the sink doing like deep conditioners and things like that. It is a lot like alchemy. We can do a chelating treatment. Okay. And that, like, it won't be enough to fade your color back out. This is the first that I've really gotten to step out and just be my own spooky self. It was really great to come in and just be able to decorate everything the way I wanted to. So I'm just gonna celebrate Halloween all year round. Forever. It's not a phase, Mom. They kind of knew that once I got to branch out on my own, things would take a little bit of a spooky turn, and most people have been really into it. I really like my neon sign, but it really fits the vibe of what I want to bring. It is okay to be weird. It is okay to choose the thing that your mom wouldn't approve of. It really gives you permission to be yourself when you can see somebody else just out there being themselves.
When you manage a bar and work in a bar for all those years, and you look around and you wish, because you're there every day, you're there more, and you wish like there was more of you in it. I really love owning this bar because it really is. I always tell people when they say, well, how did you guys come up with this? And I always say, if me and my wife's brains threw up, this is it. This is the bar.
Curtis basically started this Halloween craziness, and I got on the train because it's always been my thing too. I definitely have been a horror fan and haunted house fan, Halloween everything fan for my entire life. Curtis has always really been into the decorating on the holiday, but when I met him, this bar, it was more of like a lounge. It had sports paraphernalia around. So basically I was like, this needs to be kind of a like haunted lounge. And so in ensuing Halloweens, we would just leave more and more things up in here. So everything that you see in the cases here is a permanent thing now. We have a pact that we can't start talking about it until after July, but that often happens sooner. It's a point of contention for us.
We've always had at this bar different themes in different areas of the bar. And we do think of it ahead of time. We try to, because otherwise, if you don't have an idea, it's like, gosh, you're starting to throw things up, and then it makes it a lot harder and a longer process to not have a plan.
It's so fun to see people's reactions. You can see people entering the rooms and just looking around, and this is all year round, but especially at Halloween, just watching people walk through the bar and take it in or just stop and check something out. It's so rewarding. It's worth it, because this is a lot of work.
There's not much more I could say about this place other than this is part of me. And then when Tana came in the picture, she not only embraced it, but she almost took it on like a stepchild. So she loved it as much as I did, which is kind of phenomenal, because I can't love this place any more than I actually do. This is basically something that I've worked for since I was 21 years old, but being a bartender for all those years in Oakland, and this is like my baby, still is, always will be. I love this place.
We are all travelers in a world filled with mystery. Fortunately, here in the Bay Area, we have people who act as guides through this spiritual realm. So keep your eyes and your mind open as we show you 3 special shops and their unique proprietors.
So we are a sacred lifestyle boutique located in Alameda, California, in the West End Arts District. I started this store because I wanted to create a space for people to practice things like tarot, astrology, learning how to give themselves the ultimate amount of self-care through practice. So whether the practice is witchcraft or Reiki, energy work, that sort of thing, that's pretty much why we're here.
The overall idea for Feathered Outlaw is health, healing, enlightenment, and empowerment. So that's really the mission statement that we have here. And we really want to make sure that we're hitting those 4 sections with the things that we have in our store, whether that's our practitioners or the things on our shelves.
So inside of these jars, we have our house-made black salt. So this one here is our Sacred Space Mist.
It's more than just a TikTok trend or a wellness trend. I love being able to bring such a culturally significant and ritualistic and rich practice that really feels like a homecoming back to yourself to my in-person Bay Area community.
I think the store brings very authentic, unique people, and what we feel like is you meet people as who they are.
My favorite thing about working here is when customers come in and I can just really help provide solutions to improve their life, help them heal, help them grow on their journey through this magical existence.
The first time I came in the store, I was already struck by how beautiful and how welcoming it feels at the same time. And being part of the LGBT community myself, I feel super welcomed and feel super comfortable being here. And that's why I love being here. I love the community here.
You can't leave here and feel anything but good, right? And feel like there's so much more to life. There's so much more to me and to the community. So it's more than just crystals. It's more than just selling things. It's about becoming.
Well, I'm Sue McCullough, and
I'm Don Barks, and this is Ancient Ways, and we're in Oakland at 41st and Telegraph, and we're here to help people meet their spiritual needs.
He and I got introduced by a mutual friend because we were the first two witches this friend had ever met. So he thought we should know each other.
We are really kind of a DIY kind of organization, so we help people to do the work themselves.
We're here to provide the tools, the equipment, whatever you need.
We offer you a nail to carve something about your intention.
Part of the philosophy is that the most effective magical work is done by the person who's most invested in it.
We discuss every kind of imaginable issue or problem. What would you like to ask about? From love or job or money to people who are really just about their own spiritual growth and development. So we started from, okay, what have you had to set aside? Where have you been blocked? Where are people not hearing you?
We have customers who have been coming here since the shop originally opened. Probably the majority of our customers look like the majority of Oakland.
It's really about customer and community services, why we're here.
People, when they're struggling, they still want metaphysical help. They want to do something besides the mundane, okay, put your resume out on whatever websites or, you know, they want that extra push to get something more, something spiritual going on.
Yeah, I'm very eclectic in the paths. You know, I started out the way so many of us did, at least in the 70s, just finding whatever books and things we could to read about it. You know, finding shops like this was next to impossible in those days. So, you know, we're thrilled to be here.
Well, I think you're looking at the most eclectic shop in the most eclectic city in the entire country.
People come in here and you might think, well, they're just buying a little gift or something, but in our interaction, in our conversation, in, you know, the type of things that they find here, maybe they're exposed to a new type of spiritual thought.
I think the most important thing is that they feel safe and comfortable here. We are a safe space for everybody, and that's, again, more and more important these days. I want to take away the fear in the differences that we all share.
We really wanted people to get in touch, to dive into their own potential, their own witchcraft, not to fear it, to be empowered by it, to use what you have available to see what magic can do for you.
So it's been a long journey of finding my own place in the world, but also inviting others to come in and share what they know, what they experience, and all coming together in one place so we can talk to each other. And in a world where there's so much divisiveness, I think it's really important right now that we start to, again, embrace the things that are the same and celebrate the things that are different.
Like, you almost feel like you're missing it your whole life. Like, you don't really realize something was missing, and then you walk in and it's like the smells, the feeling, the acceptance is very much like home.
The glittering cities of the Bay Area are surrounded by nature's beauty and mystery. Some even say that undiscovered creatures known as cryptids lurk just outside of civilization. Follow along as we go in search of these elusive animals.
A cryptid is an animal or a creature that's believed or claimed to exist but hasn't been discovered yet and may never. Popular examples are Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, Mothman. There are lots of examples all around the world.
You just saw something really mysterious and you sort of sit there and ponder what happened. And we sort of construct our full story after the fact. And it's not everybody is great at knowing what they really saw and what their mind's kind of filling in.
Our first stop is Oakland's Lake Meritt, where some believe an aquatic beast called the Lake Meritt Monster makes its home.
I think there's a mystery anytime you have a body of water that you can't see the bottom. So unless you basically have a puddle, there's a possible monster in there, right?
I think a lot of lake monsters are based on the Loch Ness Monster.
Now would be a great time for the power of science.
I mean, there's always been a legend of like the Lake Meritt monster, and there's actually a statue on Lake Meritt at the beach. I was just like, man, why isn't there a Lake Meritt monster movie? Why is there not like, you know, this kid, you know, Goonies in Oakland or something like that? I wanted to have this adventure with Oakland kids, and the monster was like perfect for that.
I'm not crazy. The Lake Meritt monster is real. It took my mom, and I'm gonna find it and kill it.
Everyone comes to the lake. So I think having a myth around that there's a monster in the lake is just kind of, it's fun. And it's also like, did you hear about the Lake Meritt monster? Yeah, it's gonna get you if you go in the lake. Like, no one swims in the lake. Maybe that's why. They say there's a monster and they don't swim in the lake. I think it's just part of the ethos of Oaklanders and passing on stories and us connecting to each other with stories.
Next, we move up north to wine country, where local legend says winged monkeys move through the treetops near one particular road.
The Napa Rebobs are an urban legend. I remember hearing about them when I was a teenager. The legend that I heard and that a lot of people have told is that there was a scientist that lived out at the end of Partridge Road, and he created these monkey hybrids that had wings, or these creatures, to protect his property, and they live out there. And they got loose and they had killed him, and now they're living out and breeding in the trees.
From my understanding, it dates back to the 1950s or the 1960s, and there are lots of different stories about these creatures. I think they really seem to date back to a time where horror movies were becoming popular, the B movies. Yeah, and I'm wondering too if they're not influenced by the flying monkeys in The Wizard of Oz.
It's one of those urban legends that's kind of probably just there to either keep people out of the area, or maybe teenagers just kind of trying to scare each other.
When it comes to cryptids, there's none bigger than Bigfoot. While the hairy biped's been spotted all over the world, some squatchers have seen him in the forests all around Northern California.
Bigfoot is not just here in Willow Creek or the Six Rivers National Forest or in Humboldt County. Bigfoot is all over the world.
I had inherited this property here from my mother. So I was coming back to Felton, but I decided, you know, I'm not going to open that up as an art studio or a graphic studio. I'm going to open a Bigfoot museum. Because if I do that, then I can have more to say about discovering what Bigfoot is all about. Because when I was 5 years old, I saw a Bigfoot. Looked it right in the eyes for about a count of 3. So I hope that if I build it, they will come. And they do. People come in here from all over the planet who have seen a hairy biped. So I get story after story after story. So any doubts I ever had about my sighting and about the reality of Bigfoot, oh, I lost those doubts years ago.
The folklore will drive people to make movies about a legend, and then that will cement the story of what the monster's like in the public imagination. So when they encounter something that they don't understand, they'll use that as the reference point to describe the thing that they saw. And you get this loop. Some see Bigfoot as a nature spirit and friendly, and some see it as sort of a menacing, other dimensional monster.
I tend to like to believe that Bigfoot is a more gentle creature, although I have heard of people having experiences that don't paint that picture. But I think that really what it comes down to is that we are all obsessed with the unknown. I think that's why people still continue to seek out answers, because of course we want it to be true. Of course we want there to be this majestic creature that has somehow eluded us for all this time.
I believe that's the way they are. They would like to be friends, but you know, they also know that we're apt to be afraid of them, and we shoot first and ask questions later, so they avoid us. I had a man come in here from Fresno who told me he has 5 Bigfoot friends. I got a message from him online, and it said, Mike, when I went back to Fresno, I went to visit my 5 Bigfoot friends, and I mentioned you and your museum to them, and they said they knew about the museum, and they gave the seal of approval. So I have the seal of approval from the Fresno Bigfoot that our museum is doing the right thing.
Our final cryptid is the most mysterious of them all. For centuries, people have reported seeing tall, dark figures in the Santa Lucia Mountains on California's central coast. Author John Steinbeck even references them in a 1938 short story, Flight. He wrote, "Once, on a white barren spur, he saw a black figure for a moment, but he looked quickly away, for he was one of the Dark Watchers."
I've certainly seen them as more monstrous, and then I've seen them as more human-like. They could be like shadow people. So I think they kind of walk that line of being cryptids, monsters, maybe ghosts or spirits of some kind, other entities.
There's lots of things it might be, you know, and it's not implausible that it could just be a person watching and you can't tell who it is. It could be a bear on 2 legs. It could be a tree.
As we return from the excursion into the darker parts of the Bay Area, we hope you've come back slightly changed, a bit less fearful, a bit more curious, and more welcoming of the unknown. Thanks for joining us.